Hello everybody, I am here to finally discuss The Blood of Olympus by Riordan. I cannot believe that I'm sitting here talking about the last of the series. I don't know, it just seems like, I can't believe that it's finally here. But I love this series so much, and if you have not read this series, I definitely recommend that you read both the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series and the Heroes of Olympus series. All 10 books are amazing, and they're all 5 out of 5 stars in my opinion. I love them. So today I am going to be talking about number 5 of the Heroes of Olympus series, which is kind of like number 10 of the whole series. So you definitely need to have read this book to watch this video. I don't want to spoil you. I'm going to be talking about very specific parts and the ending and everything. So if you haven't read this book, it's a mistake to keep watching. So please don't do that to yourself. But, oh, and I got my sticker off, guys. I'm so excited. I got this copy. I got this one from Walmart, and it came with this really cool poster. On the back, it says The Prophecy. And then it's got all of the demigods, all 7, and it looks so cool. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. I might put it in like the office or on like the side of my bookshelf or something, but I love it. Last call, please go if you have not read this book, and then please read it and come back and you can discuss with the rest of us, because I really hope to talk to you guys a lot in the comments and talk about your favorite parts and everything, because this is the last book. This is the last time that we really are all together to talk about this, and it's kind of sad. Okay, so I have a lot of notes here, so let's just try to find, I mean, these are all so random. Like this one says Jules LOL. So let me just kind of dive in here, I guess. So while I said I did give all 10 of these books 5 out of 5 stars, if you're gonna be very, very technical, I actually would give The Blood of Olympus closer to a 4.5 stars, but I round it up because I can. So yeah, I did feel like there was a little bit missing, and that is disappointing, because I liked the POVs we had. I love them all, but I wanted more. I wanted Percy and Annabeth, and we didn't get that. But I mean, I was fine with what we had, and I liked it. I know that I would have loved the story more if we got more of Percy and Annabeth, and I know a lot of you are going to agree with me on that. Now, I will say one thing that really surprised me is how much I started loving Raina and Nico in this story, and I already liked Nico and I felt for Nico, but I really loved seeing his character development throughout this book. I mean, throughout the series as a whole, but really, this book, it was insane. It was awesome to read about. I loved their relationship and how Raina would lend her strength to Nico, and just, he has sacrificed so much for everybody, and I definitely think that sometimes he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Like, I talked about it in the House of Hades, how if it wasn't for Nico going back and befriending Bob, Percy and Annabeth would not have made it out of Hades if it would not have been for Nico. And he has just sacrificed so much. He's got so much going on, and he's had to deal with rejection and his sister dying, and it's just so much. And he is not very old. He is not very old. His father is Hades. He's got a tough life. I loved that Nico just never gives up, and oh my gosh, he's so powerful. Like, he did some insane stuff in this story. Like, when he basically just like dissolved that one dude and made him into a ghost, basically. That was pretty crazy. But I was so happy when he got back and he started talking to Will. I was like, ooh, wait a second. Who's this Will fella over here? Nico and Will forever. I mean, we didn't actually get like a concrete, like, this is what's going on. Hopefully he has a happily ever after. But I'm so excited. Nico decided to stay in Camp Half-Blood, and he's got Will now, and he's got his friends. I love that he confronted, or sort of just cleared the air with Percy. And I like that Percy's just like, wait, what? What? And then Annabeth just like high fives Nico, just yes. But I definitely really liked Raina's character a lot, and I feel like before this book, I mean, she was fine, I liked her. I really grew to like her in this story when we learned more about like her father and everything that happened, and then we got to see her sister. Oh, the end with like the Pegasi and how she sacrifices herself and she throws her cloak over, and then Athena helps her and with the cloak, and oh, it was so good. And then she finally destroyed Orion. When Orion came back and he shot Blackjack, how dare he? Oh, whenever he started talking about the hunters, and I was gonna be so mad if because him showing up is bad, obviously, because then you start to wonder, okay, where's Thalia and where's all these people? And I was gonna be so mad if he's like, oh yeah, I killed them. Ugh, I'm so happy they're still alive, which we, I guess, didn't really hear from him again in the rest of the story. But at least we know they're alive, and that's good. But yes, I'm so happy that Raina finally killed him, and she's just like, I don't even want this spoiler of war. I don't even want anything of you, you piece of trash. One of my favorite parts of this entire book was with Asclepius, the doctor, and then the giant like statue guardian and the snake. I was laughing so hard. Oh my gosh. Of course it was through Leo's POVs, and I always love Leo's POVs, but when oh my gosh, it was too much. And she's like, do you have insurance? Who is your provider? That's like the humor that I love in these books, and it's just so ridiculous and stupid, and I love it. I love when Leo puts her to like idiot mode, and that's when I was really starting to crack up. And she's like, hello, you must die now. Hello. And then she starts like pouring the acid on her face, and then they actually go to Asclepius. And then they see like all the acronyms on the door. There's just like every single one, because he's like the doctor of all doctors. And that was a pretty crazy moment though, when he could just like see them and just like know what's up, sort of. And I guess when he looked at Leo, and he's like, oh, and then, you know, Jason and Piper's like, what? What's the matter? I guess he just saw that Leo's life was going to be ending soon because of like the path Leo was taking. I was a little confused. I knew that Leo was going to sacrifice himself and he would die because of everything happening, but I knew he wouldn't stay dead because, I mean, we spent so much of this book learning about this physician's cure and how they're gonna, like, one person who dies will be able to come back. And so with Leo talking like he was and all this stuff, and with Hazel and Frank, I knew Leo was gonna try and sacrifice himself. And since they got this cure, I knew he would somehow use it. So I really wasn't worried about him, and I just kept waiting, even at the end when they're like, oh, Leo's dead, oh no. Which I felt like they weren't sad enough. You guys, you suck. Why were you not more sad about Leo? Because I was, like, I would have been sad. Oh, and then the Nike part was really funny. I love when Percy and Leo were talking about how they should just promote Adidas, and then Nike would get mad and show up. And I love that that was kind of still when Leo was kind of like, oh, there's Percy. He kind of has been with my woman, Calypso, so I don't know how I feel about him anymore. He said maybe he and Percy did share something else, a stupid sense of humor. Yes, you do. I love all of Rick's like analogies and his metaphors and everything, and when he just describes things so well. And when Nike is splitting back and forth between like her two different sides, he compared it to the coiled doorstop behind the door on the baseboard. It like springs back and forth like, and that was just such a cool image because it's hard to imagine these gods when they're like with their two beams, like their Roman and Greek sides, and it's kind of confusing, like hard to imagine. So that really helped me imagine that. And then Rick describes her as, that's what Nike looked like, a divine doorstop splitting into two. So cool. I love also how Rick Riordan always incorporates these little things thrown in that he knows that his readers are going to really love and relate to. So like he mentioned Twitter, he mentioned Doctor Who, he mentioned the Hunger Games. Oh, but when he mentions Leo's feels, is Rick mocking us? It was whenever Leo was talking about Apollo, and he's like, Leo didn't usually think of the ukulele as a sad instrument. Pathetic, sure, but not sad. Yet the tune Apollo strummed was so melancholy, it broke Leo's feels. His feels. I did love Leo's story. He's one of my favorite characters of this series, and I really liked that he was, you know, rebuilding Festus, which I knew he was going to sacrifice and he would die, but he would come back, so I didn't need to worry about it. I didn't know how he would do it though, so I didn't know he was going to basically rebuild Festus, and then how he put the vial in with the injector, because remember how they said that you could take the cure by mouth or injected? So, because obviously if he's dead by himself, he can't just wake up and swallow the cure. So that was really smart how he could have Festus inject him. And then, you know, he already had the instrument going so he could find Calypso. And I was very excited that Calypso and Leo were, you know, reunited, you know, with the final breath, all that stuff. But I wish we would have gotten a little bit more than like 2 pages with them. I wish, you know, which I guess I'm just happy they did reunite because, you know, Rick could have been mean and made them not. That's definitely a possibility. The other thing that I feel like a lot of you are going to agree on is I wish that Calypso and Leo would have come back to camp, because I feel like he should have picked her up and they could have gone back to camp, and then everyone would have been like, Leo, you're alive. I did like whenever Leo and Percy, he's like, you mean zodiac signs? I'm a Leo. No, stupid. I'm a Leo. You're a Percy. And going off of the, again, I kind of wanted more. I definitely, like I said, I did want more Percy and Annabeth. However, I'm so excited that Percy finally said I love you to Annabeth in the place where that whole thing started with Athena and Poseidon. I'm so happy they're going to finish school together and they're going to go to New Rome and go to college and it's going to be peaceful, and I'm so happy for them that they can actually just live in peace and not maybe have such a crazy life. I do want to talk about Percy's, the fatal flaw they kind of talked about. So if it's to my understanding that like his fatal flaw was that, you know, he's always trying to save the day. He's always trying to, you know, put himself in the fight. He can't like step back and just let someone else take care of it. So at the end, whenever Jason and Piper go off to help Leo defeat Gaia, to me, that was kind of like Percy not doing what he always does. He did not say, no, it has to be me. I have to defeat Gaia. I can't let you guys go by yourself. I must go with. Percy didn't do that, and he stayed with Annabeth, and they just defeated some monsters, which, yeah, there were some pretty scary monsters down there, but there were a lot of monsters down there that was not, for Percy Jackson, really not a big deal. But Gaia, the whole, this big thing that's been going on this whole series, he wasn't involved in this main conclusion, the big fight at the end with Gaia. And I think that kind of related to the fatal flaw deal, that Percy is growing up and that he's learning and that he is not gonna let it kill him and all of that. Because if Percy would have gone, he may not have survived. Also, I think, you know, Leo, Jason, Piper kind of started this series and now they're kind of finishing the series. So that aspect's kind of neat. It's kind of wrapped up. Because as much as we would like to think it is, this is no longer just Percy's series. That was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. That was his series. But the Heroes of Olympus are all about the heroes, and all of them. Not just Percy, although at times I kind of maybe wish that it was more about Percy. So what did you guys think of Octavian? Were you happy with that ending? Because I feel like I didn't really know how it was going to go down, because, you know, Octavian was getting all these allies and he was going to defeat the Greeks and the allies would help, and then the allies were going to turn on Octavian. Maybe towards the end he started to realize it. He wasn't by himself though. Apollo even talked about how maybe it was because Gaia was whispering in Apollo's ear, but he even told Octavian that he would kind of be like the Roman savior. So I definitely, you know, I think that I still hate Octavian and he's still a creep, and I'm happy that he's gone, let's just be honest. But I also think it's really neat with the prophecy Apollo talked about with him being the savior, because he kind of was the savior. Not even like intending to be the savior, he kind of like shot himself in the sky. But we don't know for certain that Leo would have killed Gaia by himself, and that it's very possible that Octavian could have been the reason that Gaia was actually destroyed, like Leo and Octavian together. So he actually did kind of fulfill that prophecy in being the Roman savior, and he defeated Gaia, or not by himself, but he was part of, you know, he was part of it. So I loved the part with Jules. So it was funny the first time he was brought up, and he is telling Raina about it, and like how Hades gave him this zombie chauffeur, talking about how parents should drive around their children, but Hades can't do that, so hey, here's a zombie chauffeur. So I thought that part was really funny. Then he comes back and he's like, Jules Albert, let's go. And Dakota's like, what is that, man? And this zombie chauffeur pops up wearing this 19th century motoring outfit, and he just hops in the front seat. And I love when Nico's talking about how he's like the best driver because he doesn't get road rage and he's very patient, and they're all freaking out, and Nico's just like, I call shotgun. Oh, I loved in the fight with the giants and the gods and the demigods. I love that they got to fight with their parents, and I did think it was, as a whole, that fight was rushed, But I did not expect that fight to be very drawn out because the gods were involved. So I think, I might be wrong, but I think in the past, anytime the gods were involved, the fights were pretty short because the gods are involved. Now, I knew the gods wouldn't be involved with both the giant fight and the fight with Gaia, because then it would be like both fights could fit on one page. Yeah, so with the giants, I did think it was a little too rushed, but I guess I kind of, you know, guessed that would happen. I loved to, like, it was through Jason's perspective, so that was a little odd. I wish we could have heard, you know, what the parents were saying, you know, with like Leo and his dad, and Percy and his dad, and Annabeth and her mom. I really wanted to hear from them. I did love, though, when there's all these parents actually fighting. The demigods and the gods are fighting together, and even Leo and his dad are like keeping the ship up. Then there's Aphrodite and Piper, and Aphrodite's just like floating, just like throwing rose petals into this giantess's eyes, and Piper's like fencing her, basically, you know, by herself, and she's just like, lovely dear, yes, good, hit her again. I guess the rose petals wouldn't feel good in the eyes, though. They might burn a little, so she did something, and, you know, cheering her on was good. It was just really funny, and it was just like, really, Mom, that's all you could do? So what did you guys think about the fights, though? Like the giants fight and the fight with Gaia. I already mentioned that I thought they were a little rushed, but I don't know. I guess, I think that was another part of why I gave this book more of a 4.5 than like a strong 5, because I did feel like it was lacking a little compared to the other books in that department, where there weren't as many fights and monsters and things. Maybe I'm wrong. It just seemed like in the other books, like every time they turned around, there was a monster to fight or to outwit or something. And especially with like the House of Hades. In Hades, everywhere they went, there was a problem, obviously, because Percy and Annabeth were in Hades. So then we get to this book, and I mean, we knew what was going to happen before the book started because we were already set up at the end of the House of Hades. But I guess there was just a little less conflict than I thought there would be, maybe? I don't know. But I did still really like this book, and I definitely wanted more, but I'm still happy with everything that we got. I did like to hear about Annabeth's family, because I'm pretty sure that's going to tie into the new series that Riordan is doing, Magnus Chase. Annabeth, they were talking about their families. Oh, that is one part that was really funny, when Piper is using her charm speak and she's like singing, and these snakes are like getting mad because if she stops singing, they're like, ah, I want to kill you. And then she sings and they're like, oh, I hate this, but I really love this. But anyways, they start talking about their families, and Percy talked about his mom, and that made me really sad because I kind of had forgotten about her, which is sad. But she was such a big part in the first series, and now in the second series, she's like non-existent. And it was sad because Percy really doesn't get to see her anymore. And you might say, well, he's all grown up and stuff, but he's not. He's not that old, and he loves his mom. So I really hope that now that he is going to school and he's like hopefully going to have a little bit of a more peaceful life, hopefully he can go visit his mom. And then Annabeth talked about her family and how she had like that uncle and that cousin and the family disputes and stuff, and I think that is going to be related to the Magnus Chase new series. So it might be her cousin that is Magnus Chase. That might be the person they're talking about. Also, what do you guys think about if Raina was somehow in the Magnus Chase books, and if her and Magnus Chase were together, since she's not going to be with a demigod? What if, since Magnus Chase I don't think is a demigod, is he? I don't think he, I don't know, maybe he is, but that would be pretty cool if it was Magnus Chase and Raina. That would be pretty neat, because I wish we would have seen that. I don't know, that would have been kind of cool, because I really started to really like Raina in this book, and I wouldn't mind more from her. Guys, I've talked for a really long time. I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope that you guys really like this book, and I hope that you're gonna go down and let's talk about it in the comments. Let's discuss. Tell me your favorite character. Tell me your least favorite. Tell me your favorite scenes. Tell me stuff that you wish we would have gotten more of or less of. Overall, I hope that you're just as happy as this book with I am, but I want to discuss it with you guys and tell me any maybe ideas you might have for what would happen with the Magnus Chase series. We don't know that much yet, but maybe Reyna will be in it. I don't know. And since he is related to Annabeth, hopefully we'll get more Annabeth and Percy. That would be really cool. That is it for today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please, let's go discuss in the comments about this because I want to talk about it with you guys. And that is all for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye!